Hi guys, and welcome to a battle between Noob for Life in charge of the Lizardmen up against the Central Scrutinizer leading Karl Franz and the Mighty Empire. Looks like we've got a nice little skirmish build here from Noob for Life, so let's get straight into here and have a little look at the armies. So straight away you can see he has a massive flying contingency. So up in the air we do have a unit of Pterodon Riders, a second unit of Pterodon Riders, and over in the distance the Pohawk Sentinels, which are of course the Regiment Renowned version, able to drop some very powerful rocks and do some decent harass. Looks like he also has two heroes up in the air. We have a Skink Priest of Heavens, and let's have a little look at what spells he has brought. He's got the Cube of Darkness, which is very nice, Orion's Thunderbolt, Wind Blast, which is a super effective spell, and Harmonic Convergence, very nice when you're bringing big dinosaurs. We also have a Skink Chief up here, which I quite like him up in the skies, allows him to harass, poison foes, and just be a general nuisance, and that's a lot of what this army is looking to do, is be a nuisance. So let's have a little look at the main force here. We have a mixture of Skink cohort in with a little bit more tougher Saurus Warriors with Shield, just to add a little bit of punch to the very, very thin front line. And over on the right flank here, we do have a unit of Salamander Hunting Pack who have been protected by some Cold One Riders in the woods, and these guys can do some serious damage to lightly armoured cav, or even heavily armoured cav. Anything large, these guys will roast, and some very good protectors here in the Cold One Riders, who trade very effectively against Empire Cavalry. Now on the ground we do have some big dinosaurs. We have a Gary Bastillodon with a solar engine, can do some very nice damage. I'm actually quite a big fan of this guy. I've seen him quite a lot recently in a fairly elite play. We also have another unit of Cold One Riders holding this left flank down, and the mighty Croc himself on top of Grimlock, the badass of all badasses. It is the mighty Croc, and it looks like he has brought Hand of the Gods, a super useful ability which can pretty much allow you to almost one-shot wizards. Is very powerful, and the Sacred Spawning of Huotl gives him that 22 physical resist and 18 vigor, which is very good. Of course, he's also a big terror-causing monster, which is always nice. Now, if we have a little look at the Empire build here, we do have a little skirmish force of freeness of the Outriders, can do some decent damage up against the heavily armoured dinos with their rifles. We also have the mighty Karl Franz up on top of Deathclaw here, leading the charge. He's going to be a very good protector of the Outriders and the skirmish, being able to fly around the battlefield and use his speed to his advantage. He also has the Black Lions, Regiment Round War Wagons, by far the best version of the War Wagons. Really like these guys. They can do a huge amount of damage if left unimpeded the whole battlefield. They can win a battle for you. Now, for his actual forces, he's also gone fairly cheap and cheerful in the front line with a mixture of spearmen and one unit of swordsmen, a fairly defensive formation. I quite like this, protecting his flanks with the spearmen, having the line dotted back a little bit. We also have a unit of Reichsguard, Empire Knights, and a second unit of Reichsguard for going for that real cav-themed build here. And up in the sky, we have a Jade Wizard. Looks like he has Regrowth, Earthblood, and a Power Stone. So without further ado, let's get this underway. And it looks like already there was a lot of fire going into that Skink Priest of Heavens, really trying to focus him down with the Outriders. But they are taking a little bit of damage in return. We see that Crockguard does push up. Now, Gary comes in with his first shot there from the solar engine and does some really decent damage to these Outriders. I wonder how much he actually killed there. Let's have a little look. Up to 15 kills already, but the Skink Priest has taken a huge amount of damage and already started to run away, but I'm sure he will come back unless Karl Franz wants to come over here and have a little word. Looks like the Salamanders were moving up, revealing themselves, trying to shut down these Outriders who are doing a decent amount of damage and have in fact received an Earthblood heal. Don't know how much that's going to actually heal them, considering they've actually lost quite a few models rather than just HP. But in come those flaming shots, doing some really nice damage on those Outriders and in fact forcing them back. Up in the sky, the Pohawk Sentinels somehow have been caught by Karl Franz and absolutely deleted. However, this has allowed the Salamanders plenty of time to shoot them. He is being slowed down by the Poison Skink Priest, who's also routed at the moment. But in retaliation, we're getting some really nice damage here by the Salamander Hunting Pack. For the rest of the battlefield, we do have a all-out cav engagement on the right-hand flank. Looks like the Reichsguard getting the upper hand there on the initial charge. Cold One Riders, these are not the spear variety, so they don't have that bonus versus large, so they are going to struggle a little bit. But looks like they have some Skinks running up and some spearmen for the Empire, so that's going to be quite a pivotal fight over on the right flank. On the left flank, we have some Skink cohorts who have actually managed to bump in to some Outriders. They're going to be able to tear those guys apart and hop on these spearmen. Crockguard getting a little overzealous here and running directly down the gauntlet, right down the middle, Realising this maybe wasn't the best bet, pops his Sacred Spawn in for a bit of protection and does start falling back to his own lines, dragging all of these cav towards the Salamander hunting packs who can do some really fantastic work here. It looks like we have the two heroes, the Skink Chief and the Skink Priest, who have returned to the fray. That's good news for Noob for Life. And up in the sky, Karl Franz is just trying to chase off those pesky Pohawks Sentinels. In the front line, Saurus are going to be really awesome here. They're easily going to tear apart the state troops. However, really nice flank charge coming in by these Reichsguard. Going to hopefully turn the tide in the middle. It looks like they're going to force their way all the way through on top of these Salamander hunting packs. But they are being protected by Kroq-Gar and a unit of Cold One Riders. And as you can see, that is absolutely pitting the fear of all lizard creatures into these Reichsguard who are running for the hills now. So all of a sudden, Noob for Life, after a little bit of a rocky start, losing some of his more mobile units, have managed to rally them back, and he's actually starting to swing this battle slightly in his favour. We've got some Skinks in the back lines, just fighting Spearmen, so a bit of a wet noodle contest. Looks like they may be receiving a rear charge. Nope, the Reichsguard instead going for the much more valuable Saurus Warriors, which is probably a very good pick, trying to protect the black line, which is only up to 2 kills so far, but that could just be because he's been aiming at big targets such as Kroq-Gar. Salamander's doing some really good work, really driving off those Outriders and forcing them away from the battlefield, allowing the Terran Riders to do a lot of poke damage. Unfortunately, it looks like the Skink Chief is terrified here. He did get in a little fisticuffs with Karl Franz. Not the best place for a little Skink to be. But it looks like the Salamander hunting packs are realigning themselves now for another burst of damage. And some huge damage. In comes Karl Franz, takes a massive beam as well from the Basildon back here with the Solar Engine. But he's going to start tearing up these Salamanders quite quickly. But oh, big Papa Kroq-Gar does not like his little pets. His precious favourite animals, the Salamanders, being taken advantage of here. So Kroq-Gar is running in. And as you can see, Karl Franz wants absolutely none of this. And he's going to be trotting away on Deathclaw there, trying to get back up into the air. As for the rest of the battle, looks like the Empire are starting to falter a bit, but they are picking off units where they can. Pohawk Sentinels are basically gone now, being chased off by the Jade Wizard. And of course, they have the ability to heal, which could be really key late game. Karl Franz gets back up into the air here, takes a massive Hand of the Gods 360 no-scope though from Kroq-Gar, doing some ridiculous damage. And now the Salamanders with some unerring accuracy here, really kind of pitting the hurt on Karl Franz, down to 1,000 health. Another volley coming in, bringing him down to, let's have a little look, 660 health. He's taking an absolute hammering, and he does in fact start to rout off the field, but in return it looks like he is getting a big fat regrowth from him, so he should probably be coming back. And in return, the Lizardmen lost the Terron. So Empire fighting tooth and nail here, trying to trade where they can, but their main force is just getting run over by these Saurus Warriors, aided by the much more mobile Cold One Riders. But in comes some desperate charge by the Reichsguard, charging in against these horrific monsters, but they really don't stand a chance. What can man do against such hateful creatures? As you can see, the Reichsguard are just getting torn down from their saddles, even with the help from the Spearmen. And in the back, it looks like the Black Lines really have struggled this game, only up to 3 kills, and they have a very nasty Kroq-Gar chasing them down. So that the Lizardman forces have kind of rallied all in the back here and going to be slowly pushing on in an unmovable wall. But Karl Franz has noticed Kroq-Gar is slightly isolated here. They've surrounded him with the war wagons, and in comes Karl Franz, popping all his buffs. Galmaraz lifted high into the sky, and Kroq-Gar in return pops his Sacred Spawn in and a Harmonic Convergence. The Empire player really desperate now to try and snipe out some leadership and break this Lizardmen army, maybe with terror. It looks like some Salamanders are coming in to also do extra damage to Karl Franz. But Kroq-Gar receiving bullets in the back as well. Some huge damage coming in, and down goes the mighty lizard himself, Kroq-Gar. And in fact, the Skink Priest, who was running to the aid of Kroq-Gar, is also torn down by very vengeful Karl Franz. He has received a few shots in the face for his troubles by the Salamanders, who are probably trying to avenge Kroq-Gar, considering he did save them in the battle earlier. So these very angry Skinks are now tied up in combat with the Jade Wizard. Karl Franz tries to really just trying to tear out Skinks now, but it looks like some very good play by Noob for Life. He's put the Salamander hunting pack onto guard mode, so they're shooting even though they're in combat. It looks like they are going to scare Karl Franz possibly away from the battlefield. He is wavering, it is super close. Is he going to rally? No, it looks like he is routed, and with that little health, I very much doubt he's going to be coming back. Knowing their job is done, the Salamanders do start to slink off the battlefield themselves, escorted by a very vengeful Jade Wizard. So let's have a little quick stock of the whole battlefield here. Both forces incredibly beat up. We have some Terran Riders over here returning to the fray, who may be able to rescue this pocket here of Lizardmen, which are running from the field. However, Jade Wizard is no pushover in combat. and should actually be able to scare off those Terran Riders if microed effectively. In the back here, we still have Gary on pretty much full health. He is going to be a monster to deal with. He causes terror, and of course, a lot of the leadership for the Empire is gone. He's surrounded by anti-large spearmen, but with that massive 140 armor, I don't think he cares too much. In the back, it's going to have to be a lot of skirmish here by the Empire. They still have all 3 Outriders, but very, very beat up and low on ammo, and he really needs the black line to have a little bit of breathing room so it can turn around and shoot. But Noob for Life doesn't look like he's going to let that happen. He's not a big fan of that plan. So instead, he's got the Cold One Riders who will be chasing it down, whilst the Shorers work as kind of a shield to push away these Outriders before trying to finish off the pockets of Spearmen and Empire State troops which do roam the battlefield. So in the back here, looks like Karl Franz desperately trying to isolate the Cold One Riders and save the Black Lines. A move he probably feels he has to make, but this is not a fight Karl Franz wants. Only 100 health left. These Cold One Riders are going to chase him down. They smell blood, and he always walks really funny to me, Deathclaw. He kind of like bounds away quite, looks a bit up himself for a mythical creature, but he is in fact being shattered off the battlefield, scared off by the superior cavalry of the Lizardmen, who are now simply going to be able to hunt down and clear up all the ragged Empire troops. So power balance, as soon as Karl Franz goes, is going to go fairly heavily in Noob for Life's favour. Over in the distance, though, he still has a little bit of healing here. The Jade Wizard escorting those units off the field. Very good play there. Looks like Gary is going to have a word. And we'll probably speed up here because it looks like it's mainly going to be a chase. All these Empire forces just being pushed off and routed. Gary gets one little blitz in the face of the Jade Wizard and a second one which does in fact rout him and completely shatter him there. So a Pyrrhic victory for Noob for Life and the Lizardmen. So let's go have a look at the stats. So overall, super entertaining game and some really nice builds. Both players going fairly skirmish heavy with little bits of cav as well. And I'd just like to say, I know I've said this every single replay, but these new portrait pictures are so bad. Let's look at Gorok. Kroq-Gar. He is an absolute beast. Overall, I really like Kroq-Gar, and the pick of him, Hand for Gods, gives you so much flexibility. If the opponent has brought, a flying caster or so forth, instantly pop it on them, and they just get absolutely destroyed. Overall, Skink Priest and Skink Chief did struggle a little bit, as did the Air Corps in general for the Lizardmen. They still got fairly decent kills and were pretty useful at harassing and pulling apart the Empire army and allowing the Lizardmen core of these 2 Saurus warriors to really deal some work and be protected all the while. So they didn't do too bad, but nothing too fantastic by the Air Force. But what really worked was the rest of his army. The Skinks getting in the back line and tying up units and Outriders was very effective, and the Saurus, 103 and 108 kills, just tore through the heart of that Empire army, and with the Salamander's help, up to 50 kills, very impressive. They managed to deal with the skirmish play, and also very good play as well with the 2 Cav. 71 kills and 26, not the most on this unit. They held up the Empire Cav really well and allowed Kroq-Gar to come in, help finish those guys off, and always got to give a little pat on the head to the Gary. It's always good to see a Basildon, especially a solo engine one, used in competitive play, and I believe this in fact was from a tournament. I can't remember off the top of my head which tournament it was, but a very good play. As for the Central Scrutinizer, I also like his cav-heavy build, really focusing and hoping these Outriders can do the heavy lifting alongside the Black Lion, whilst protecting them with some very good Reichsguard Empire and a nice little basic kind of infantry fight there. And after a very good start, it started to rock really heavily in Noob for Life's favour, but some fantastic play by Karl Franz to isolate Kroq-Gar, finish him off, finish off the rest of their leadership as well with the Skink Priest, but it just wasn't quite enough for a comeback there. So overall, super fun game, really enjoyable to cast. Now, if you guys want to see any of your own battles shown on the channel, please do just get in contact with me on Discord. I've got the same name as I do on YouTube, just a Rubber Duck of War, and I'm on all the main Total War Discords as well, or shoot me a message on YouTube. I'm sure we'll find a way to contact each other. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do leave a like and subscribe and all that super good fun stuff. And if you do want to support the channel in any other way, I do have a Patreon just down below in the description, which is super cool. But no pressure, of course, all my videos are free. Now, this is going to be my last video until after Christmas. I am actually going home for about 5-6 days, and then I'm coming back and working straight away. So probably no video till next Monday, I'm going to say, unfortunately, but that will be the continuation of my campaign. I really wanted to get my Snickage campaign done today as well, but currently it is about 2:30 in the morning here in the UK, so I'm trying to get this out before while I'm manically packing all my stuff to get back. So unfortunately, no time for a big stream. But we will be coming back with the campaign, hopefully on Monday, Tuesday. But until then, guys, have a happy Christmas. Hope you guys are all doing lots of fun stuff, seeing family and friends and all that good stuff. And stay awesome, and I'll see you next time. Peace, peace.